My name is Brian, and for 5 years, I worked as part of the private security detail contracted to guard the perimeter of Area 51. Our official title was security specialist, but anyone who's ever been near the base knows us as camo dudes. We patrolled the outskirts, kept watch for trespassers, and enforced the no-go zones. For the most part, it was mind-numbingly boring, a lot of long nights driving in circles around endless desert fencing, squinting through night vision goggles at jackrabbits and tumbleweeds. But one night, August 17th, 2018, I saw something that still keeps me awake. That shift started like any other. I clocked in at 7 p.m., picked up my gear, radio, sidearm, rifle, and NVGs. I paired up with my usual partner, Mike, and we loaded into the SUV. Our sector that night was the western fence line, a notoriously quiet area with rugged hills and zero human activity unless some YouTuber or thrill seeker got too close. Around 2:45 a.m., we were parked at our usual lookout, engine idling, sipping bad coffee, and listening to static on the radio. The desert was dead silent. Then, the radio crackled. It was Command, Unit Bravo. We're reading an unauthorized breach at Grid 7. Proceed to coordinates immediately. Possible intrusion. Mike and I locked eyes. Grid 7 was deep out there, a spot nobody dared approach because of its steep cliffs. We thought it was probably a false alarm, maybe a coyote tripping the sensors, but protocol was protocol. We hit the gas and tore through the dust, bouncing over ruts and rocks. As we neared Grid 7, the spotlights on the SUV barely penetrated the pitch-black night. Suddenly, the motion detector on the dashboard pinged, a large heat signature just past the fence line. Mike unholstered his rifle, and I grabbed the binoculars. At first, I couldn't see anything. Then I spotted it, a figure, human-shaped but wrong. It stood motionless about 50 yards from the fence. It was tall, at least 7 feet, but its proportions were off, arms too long, head too small, and it was completely still, like a statue. "Do you see that?" I whispered. Mike cursed under his breath. "Yeah, what the hell is that?" We stepped out, rifles up, floodlights aimed at the thing. "This is private property," Mike shouted. "Identify yourself." No movement. I edged closer, my boots crunching over gravel, adrenaline flooding my system. The floodlights flickered, then cut out entirely, plunging us into darkness. "Shit, lights down," Mike yelled, fumbling with his radio, but now his voice was drowned by a low hum, almost like a subwoofer, vibrating through my chest. And then, it moved. Not walking, gliding, silently, toward us. I froze. I've faced down armed trespassers before. Nothing compared to this. My instincts screamed at me to run, but my legs wouldn't obey. Mike fired a warning shot into the air. No effect. The figure kept coming. 10 feet from the fence now. The hum grew louder, making my teeth chatter. My NVGs went static. Radio dead. Floodlights still out. And then, it was gone. Just vanished. One blink, and there was nothing there. No hum, no figure, silence. The lights popped back on like nothing happened. NVGs cleared. Radio crackled back to life. Command, Unit Bravo. Status update? Mike and I sat there, breathing like we'd just run a marathon. We gave the official line, negative contact, false alarm. We lied, because there was no way to explain what we saw, and honestly, no way to prove it. We patrolled the rest of the shift in silence. When dawn broke, we inspected the spot. Nothing. No footprints. No sign of anything crossing the perimeter. A week later, Mike put in his resignation. I lasted 6 more months before quitting. I haven't spoken about that night until now, but sometimes, when I'm alone in the dark, I still hear that low hum. And I know it wasn't just my imagination. My name is Daniel, and in 2016, I worked as a civilian contractor for a defense subcontractor that had ties to operations at Area 51. I was a low-level systems tech. My job was to run maintenance checks on the intricate communication systems and data servers buried deep underground. It was boring, technical work, and we were under strict non-disclosure agreements. Most of my assignments were mundane, and honestly, I was more focused on cashing my paychecks than uncovering any government secrets, until the night I got a service ticket for sublevel 6. That place was different. Most of the work I'd done was on sublevels 2 and 3, servers, antennas, the usual, but sublevel 6 was something else. It was rarely accessed, and the tech logs I had to sign were heavily redacted. The ticket simply read, "Network failure, sublevel 6, rack 14B, immediate service required." It was just past midnight when I badged into the main elevator, descending floor by floor. The deeper I went, the colder it got. By sublevel 5, my ears popped from the pressure. When I stepped out at sublevel 6, the place was eerily silent. No hum of machines, no chatter on the comms, just an endless corridor with blinking red lights above the doors. I followed my map to rack 14B, deep in the bowels of the base. My boots echoed down the concrete hallways. Finally, I found it, a massive server cluster, half the racks offline, flickering in and out. I set my toolkit down and started diagnostics. Everything looked normal at first, then my screen glitched. Lines of unreadable code scrolled rapidly, almost like it was rewriting itself. I tried to kill the process, but the system froze. My screen went black, and then a message appeared. "Observe." Before I could react, the overhead lights cut out. Total darkness. My heart started racing. I fumbled for my flashlight and swung it around. The beams danced across server racks and empty corridors until they landed on something. A figure. Standing at the far end of the hall, motionless, humanoid, but too tall, too thin, with elongated limbs that hung unnaturally. It wasn't wearing any kind of suit. Its skin looked gray, almost metallic under the beam of my flashlight. I stepped back instinctively, knocking over my toolkit. The sound echoed sharply. The figure tilted its head, fast, sharp, like an animal hearing a noise. I radioed in, "Control, this is Technician 49. I need immediate assistance at sublevel 6, possible breach." Static. The figure started moving, but not walking. Its legs seemed to drag behind it, body gliding inches above the floor. I stumbled backward, hitting the emergency door button. Nothing. The door wouldn't budge. My flashlight flickered, and in that split second of darkness, I heard it get closer. A deep, vibrating hum filled the space, almost shaking the air. I ran, down the hall, past server racks, blindly searching for any exit. Every door I tried was sealed. The comms stayed dead. My flashlight's battery finally gave out, plunging me into pitch black. And then, silence. No hum, no footsteps, nothing. I hid behind a row of servers, barely breathing. Minutes, maybe hours, passed. Eventually, the lights snapped back on. I was alone. The figure was gone. The doors unsealed with a loud hiss, and I bolted for the elevator. Back topside, I stormed into control, demanding answers. They looked at me like I was insane. "Sublevel 6? One of them asked. "That floor's been decommissioned for years." I showed them the service ticket. It was gone, vanished from the logs like it never existed. I quit the next day. No amount of money is worth what I saw down there. And to this day, I still wonder what would have happened if my flashlight hadn't died, or if that thing had caught me. My name is Jenna, and in the summer of 2019, I made what I now know was the dumbest decision of my life. I went camping near Area 51. It started as a joke. My two best friends, Kyle and Megan, and I were road tripping across Nevada when Kyle suggested we detour toward the infamous Groom Lake. "We can't be this close and not at least check it out," he said. None of us believed in aliens or conspiracies, but the idea of camping near the most secretive base in the world sounded too wild to pass up. We stocked up on snacks, beer, and firewood in Rachel, the tiny desert town closest to Area 51, and set up camp about 5 miles from the border, close enough to feel rebellious but far enough, we thought, to stay out of trouble. The first night was uneventful. We laughed around the fire, told ghost stories, and watched the endless desert sky. Around midnight, Kyle pointed out strange flickers of light near the mountains. "Just aircraft," I said, but even I had to admit, they moved weirdly, too fast, too sharp, like no plane I'd ever seen. We went to sleep in our tents, half expecting black SUVs to roll up and escort us out, but nothing happened. The next night was different. We were sitting by the fire again when a low, mechanical hum rolled over the desert. We stood, listening. The hum deepened, vibrating the ground beneath our feet. Then the sky lit up, first blue, then green, then white, as if a massive spotlight had been switched on just over the ridge. Megan grabbed my arm. "What the hell is that?" We killed our fire and crouched low, instinctively hiding. Over the next few minutes, we watched in stunned silence as a formation of bright, pulsating orbs rose from behind the mountains. 6 of them, perfectly synchronized, hovering in the sky. They darted left and right at impossible speeds, then stopped midair as if suspended by invisible strings. Kyle, ever the idiot, whispered, "We have to get this on video," and pulled out his phone. But as soon as he hit record, every light, including our lantern, blinked out. Total darkness. "Guys," Megan hissed, her voice trembling, "something's wrong." We huddled together, the hum getting louder, now joined by a high-pitched ringing that made my teeth ache. Suddenly, a beam of light shot down from one of the orbs, illuminating the ground maybe 200 feet from us. Sand and debris lifted into the air like a mini tornado inside the beam. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the beam shut off, and so did the hum. Silence. We didn't move for what felt like hours. When the lights finally came back on, Kyle was gone. At first, we thought he was playing a prank. We shouted his name, searched the perimeter, checked inside his tent. Nothing. His phone, backpack, everything was still there except him. Panicking, Megan and I debated running to the car, but we couldn't leave without him. We stayed up all night, scanning the desert, calling his name until our voices went hoarse. At sunrise, we packed up camp and drove straight to the nearest sheriff's office. The search lasted 2 weeks. Drones, helicopters, ground teams, nothing. It was like he'd evaporated. The official report said Kyle likely wandered off and succumbed to the elements, but we knew better. A week after I got home, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. It showed Kyle, standing in what looked like a sterile, metal room. His eyes were blank, mouth slightly open, like he was in a trance. Behind him, barely visible, was a tall, shadowy figure, something not human. No note, no explanation. I never heard from Kyle again, and I'll never, ever go near Area 51 again.